love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just give it up. Don't be scared. I'm so gone, no I'm never turning back. I won't stop, I'ma fight until there's nothing left. It's so on, you're gonna be hurting bad. Cause I've been to hell and back, you don't wanna make me mad. I stay strong, you will never see me crack. And if you get in my way, you're gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math, when I hate I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just give it up. Don't be
Alrighty, how's everybody doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. I know it's rather boring. Some would find it more exciting than others. But let's go into this. There's sadly not all that much of interesting stuff to talk about. It's rather boring. It's pretty much everything we said before. Yes, we are still hugging that very same ceiling. It doesn't matter whether we will become slightly more volatile, a couple of dollars to one end or another. What we are looking for mainly is the daily. But before we get to the daily, let's go over the time frames one by one, as we usually do. The 1 minute is not too exciting, kind of pushing into that corner, into that wedge right now as is. So arguably, again, kind of that's how it appears to be that we're going to end the session, at least into that wedge, or kind of staying within that vicinity of these this support and resistance level, whether it's 59.13, whether it's 59.16, kind of very narrow band, not all that interesting. 5 minutes is starting to turn around. We're starting to see that curvature that sort of plays along into the current downwards channel within this what appears to be upwards channel. We're gonna debate that in a second. And so basically this channel appears to be moving us slowly with this transition. Will take us back into around 58.98, potentially moving into the end of this session, because again 5 minutes may still play, of course it may still play flat. In all reality, it still is flat. It's just sort of the higher band of things, if you will. That's our median. That's our actual resistance on which, or support resistance level, to which we're entangled with. Those who are more professional here and familiar with technical analysis understand there is a standard deviation layer to both ends, and we're basically end up moving from one end to the other. So with all due respect to that so-called volatility, we really didn't have anything today. It is pretty boring, but still are moving sideways. Arguably, to what I'm about to say, we're about to run out very, very shortly. But I've been saying that for the last 2 weeks or so. But I did warn about all these levels and exactly about this sort of behavior that may take place, although I really have not assessed for this. This is far beyond insane. And actually does make sense to some extent if you're more familiar with how the market dynamics. Basically what's happening here is this is a bull trap, and I've warned about this. If you think back, just a month ago, I was warning that the rally may end up being so strong that people have the conviction to think, it's a V-shaped recovery, face-melting rally. I mean, it's a decent rally, not going to lie, but it's not going to be a face-melting rally, some people assess, taking you all the way to the sixes and plus. In fact, I'm hearing all sorts of skeptical voices and whatnot. I'm like, guys, if you think, that's not going to play out, that's the beauty of it all. You're all responsible for your own portfolios, and you should then play accordingly. I mean, if you're that certain, I will still present here what I see. Remember, it's not about any biases. I almost do not share my opinion here. I just kind of show you what it is and interpret it for you. Maybe sometimes add a little bit of sprinkles of sugar on top. Otherwise, it's mainly what the market says about itself. As you can see on the 30 minutes, already turning around, starting to do that sort of entanglement process, weaving in and out around that very median that was just mentioned. And so we're already kind of finished process the current wave, starting to see how we're breaking below the 80, implying that we're moving at least to the lower band of this channel currently, or maybe even lower towards around 58.74. Let's continue. 45 minutes. 45 minutes becoming objectively significantly more bearish. As you can see, we're starting to pick up. There's kind of this descending structure that's going on. We're breaking right above 50. So again, not able to make it into overbought conditions, indicating more or less a similar sort of signal from the 30 minutes, more or less that transition to the downside, still very slow. I doubt we'll see that one play out fully properly in this session. We're probably going to just start converging and moving towards the 50 area here. Maybe at best within the framework of the 45 minutes, because we simply are running out of time for this session. 1 hour. 1 hour is also becoming bearish below the 50 range, which is again very indicative of a continuation of the downtrend. Very unfortunate how long all of this process took. And the most important, most interesting one we're about to get to is the daily, that basically signals the head and shoulders that we're talking about. This, for example, the 4 hourly, which signals more so about today's session, appears to be moving towards convergence here, and probably within the framework of the next session, we will see it again start breaking and following with the rest of the time frames, playing into them, and subsequently leading into around 50 and starting to formulate that downward structure, which is within itself, if you didn't notice, didn't realize, is a form of head and shoulders that is going on. Basically not all that special. In fact, that's kind of what was predicted if we're going to make it so to that area. That exact sort of behavior. And here is the really interesting bit. So the thing that we're all paying attention to, and to why I'm saying this week may still end very, very boring. And I know, again, it's very unfortunate to how high we were able to do this. But if you look and watch the videos from a month ago, you'll see I was actually literally warning that if we'll make it to the edge, if for some reason the market will continue pushing up, we will probably end up pushing to that resistance over here, the diagonal one, playing into this negative wedge for a little bit before then breaking back down. And what we're waiting for right here is that secondary shoulder to complete and start bringing us down into the channel. On the weekly, we're slightly above the 60 range, and some of you maybe not realizing what's going on. That's a sort of internalized structure, and if you zoom out, you realize that really what's going on here is we're moving they were creating here for a sort of larger structure, a cycle of sorts, and that cycle is not represented by a single wave. It's represented by a multitude of waves that gradually fall into the wave, which, by the way, transitions then eventually into oversold conditions. It's not like the stochastic RSI will cease to exist. It will simply retain itself moving below the 50 range, signaling that we are in a prolonged downwards trend. Where are we seeing that and why are we thinking that? I'll remind you, boys and girls, we are finally, mere steps, we're half a month away, not including weekends and whatnot, from penetrating into oversold conditions. And as you can see clearly from here, although we have made quite a decent gradual process upwards, it is still part of the descent. When we made it also low so quickly, I warned how abnormal that is. Still can be retained. It's not that this sort of behavior cannot be retained. In fact, under the conditions, that actually made full sense. And looking at the momentum back then, it even made sense that we'll retain more of it than less of it. As you can see, we gave it all back and then some. But the unfortunate thing is that all this is a waste of time, because the very next leg that is about to initiate, I would argue, in the following, we still see how it can be dragged out to the 30th. So the 30th of the month, 28th kinda, where Nvidia's earnings is. And so we can absolutely see that. Why? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, on the daily chart, if you're going to look at the convergence, divergence of the channels themselves, what we ended up with here is this almost like a wedge-like formation. The market oftentimes does like to move into, get locked, if you will, transition back and forth, allowing us to close some of these gaps, giving us roughly the end of the month. They kind of coincide very neatly, and so it's not going to be all that surprising if the price action will end up moving into that edge and then end up breaking. On the other hand, this is so far out, and looking at this sort of formation, which those who don't doubt or don't understand EAS, as some of my students mentioned very correctly, this may end up being prolonged in various ways. Is that the expected scenario? Not really. This is within itself is already over the average length of time that it takes to have that sort of wave. If you look into the past and measure the average, you realize the current wave is relatively prolonged. And the structure itself is implying that we're moving towards convergence, divergence, and normally, these, as they can take a long time, normally they don't take a long time. They take a relative normal period, right? And on the daily basis, we're roughly talking about, at maximum, about a week worth of sessions. And I would argue that at this stage, we don't even need a week worth of sessions. We just need a couple of sessions in order to have this convergence take over. And then we're going to have the bearish momentum take over and start bringing us lower. The question is whether that lower will be into a retest of sorts before the real breakdown, or that will actually be the beginning of the breakdown. The problem with the beginning of the breakdown is that the fact of the matter that we still have a bit of time. We still have those 15 days before the month ends, and we are fully submerged in oversold territory, which will be in my mind, even a stronger move downwards than we saw before. It's not going to be completely abnormal. In fact, it will be very normal to see the price action dip lower faster. That is it, boys and girls. That is all I wanted to share with you today. We didn't really have a lot of exciting news, I know. What I will be doing right now is, when we're going to finish this, I'm going to be having a members meeting on our Discord in the community. Those who watch and are not from the community are more than invited to join us right here on the Discord through the Patreon. Of course, you need to sign up. And we do have meetings, weekly meetings. And right now we're going to have another meeting with our members and the Academy members, the advanced tier members, which, by the way, the advanced tier right now is 60% discounted. It's only $40 instead of $100, which it will be changed to in 2 weeks from now. 2 weekends from now, roughly end of the month, it will be that the price of the advanced tier will be then basically, well, going to $100. So right now it's 60% discounted. We have our schedule right here, as you can see. And today we're going to have our meeting right as I'm going to finish this live. I'm going to transition into the meeting with the members, and we're going to talk about what is it we see on the technicals, what the charts are sort of implying, how soon, how what are the signals, and on a far more in-depth level that we do here on the live. And I highly recommend you all join that, because that is a valuable skill set that will truly allow you to understand why, when I was telling you a month ago that you will be misled, and I was able to predict not just the market in various ways, but also the sentiment the public will have at this stage. And so if you remember what I was saying, and I was warning that will be pretty much the stage of breakdown, as you can see right now, not surprisingly so, as it happened exactly as I said. We are now at the stage of breakdown, which is being signaled by the technical analysis, while the sentiment is exactly as I predicted it to be at this stage. Which the sentiment within itself should be a hint to how bad things are. That's it, boys and girls. I think we're going to adjourn the meeting with that today. I definitely, like I said, highly recommend you join the community, and that way you will always be in the know, and you'll not feel frustrated about the market sort of throwing you back and forth, and you'll feel lost and like you're confused and you don't know where the market is headed. In reality, it's all very, I would relatively say, relatively easy, readable. All you have to do is put some time and effort into learning it, just like anything else in life. You didn't get to know math or your profession or English or any language or any profession or anything you've learned ever in life without putting any effort. That's just not how it works. You need to put a little bit of effort, and you'll actually earn the skill set. That's it, boys and girls. Nothing all that exciting. Like I said, from here on out, it may end up being a little bit longer, boring, going sideways, whether it's again via movements up and down, just like a shark sleeps while moving as well, right? The market cannot sleep while, the market also sort of sleeps while moving as well. In essence, if we're moving sideways, the market is almost, you can compare it to being asleep, and still we have to be moving. We're not going to just stop, if you will. The market is still now moving sideways, nothing all that exciting. Everything still stands exactly as it was. All the thesis, the entire theory about correcting down to 3,300 and how long it's going to take, it all still stands. It's just that a lot of people now are misled, just as I warned they will be. That's it, boys and girls. Love you much. See you on the next one. See you on the community hangout. Bye for